What is going on, button pushers? If you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. If you guys are coming back, welcome back. First of all, guys, thank you guys so much for 10K. I have been out of YouTube for about a month now just because of some personal reasons, taking some personal time. I've had some health issues and I just got COVID. I still have COVID during the time of recording, and catching my breath is going to be kind of tough. But so I just read that the Canon cameras, the R7 and the R10, have been announced and are expecting release very, very soon. So I just wanted to make a quick little spec read on it and kind of get some first initial thoughts about it. And who is this camera for? So this isn't going to be that interesting of a video, but we're just going to run through the spec sheet and kind of talk about it in general. So if you guys are expecting something super nice and awesome video, I'm sorry I'm not going to provide that today because I have been out of commission for a while. I actually haven't really worked that much this past month either. So, you know, everything's kind of at a very slow pace right now, but hoping to get back on track super soon. So let's start off with the Canon R10. Now this is an aps-c body. The value is going to be at $980. So I'm seeing this as more of an entry level camera for people who just kind of want to start getting into this. And I think that's really good because people have been coming to me asking me like, hey David, what's a really good starting camera? And I'm always telling them, oh, the Canon EOS R is a really good one, but I'm so glad that they've upgraded and added a little bit more to the line. So now I don't have to say, oh, just get the EOS R, which is like years and years old. You can go for the R10 or the R7, which we're going to get into. So this has an expected release date of July 28th, 2022. So that is about a month and a half, and that's pretty soon. We're getting a 15 frames per second mechanical shutter with 24.2 aps-c sensor. So you know, I'm not too, I enjoy crop frames, and because as filmmakers we shoot Super 35 a lot, but you know, of course when it comes to photography and stuff, full frame really does make a difference. And of course having that option in the first place really does make a difference for a lot of people. Maybe not for me, because you know I love Super 35 and I have a lot of Super 35 cameras, but I couldn't film this YouTube video in my space without a full frame camera. So it is very situational, and you know a lot of people do like the option to have full frame, so that is something to take into account because you aren't going to be having that full frame sensor with this camera. So we do get 1080-120 in this camera as far as video option goes. We also get 4K 60 with a crop, but you can also do 4K 24 or 4K 30 without a crop. But keep in mind, even without a crop, you're actually still getting a crop because it is a aps-c or crop frame sensor. You're just not getting an additional crop in when you're shooting in 24 or 30. So if you do want to use that 60, and I feel like this is more geared towards consumer level vlogger cameras, so you might not even need 60 at all. So I feel like just settling with 24 or 30 for vlogs and stuff is really nice, and then maybe just doing 1080-120 to get that extra slow motion if you guys are looking for it. Otherwise, I don't think you need 60 4K at all, especially if you're just going entry level into the world and just kind of trying to create content for social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I feel like you're good with 4K 24 or 4K 30. You don't really need anything more. So it is back down to the simple SD card. So, you know, it's just simple consumer grade camera. Now, this is a really nice thing as a replacement for the EOS R, because I really feel like the EOS R is outdated and it really needed something more consumer level, more affordable, more cheap, because I constantly get asked, hey David, what's a good camera for below $1,000? And this is literally priced at just below $1,000. Maybe throw in a nifty 50, maybe throw in a 24 pancake lens, and you are good to go with this little setup. Now before we jump into the actual talking, let's just jump into the R7 real quick so I can kind of look through and kind of see what they're offering between the two cameras and what the real big differences are between the R7 and the R10, because I do know the R5, I do know the R6, I have the R3, and I still do have the R5. I've used every single R series camera except for the R6, so I think I have a pretty good gist and idea of what they're kind of aiming for when it comes to the Canon R series, but let's just jump into the R7 and kind of see. So this is expected to release on June 23rd, which is literally in 2 weeks of recording this video. Yeah, let's check it out. So we're getting a 32.5 megapixel sensor with in-body stabilization of up to 7 stops with controlled IS and 4K 60 video. It's also a crop frame camera though, so both these cameras are crop frame, so that is definitely something to keep in mind. It is entry level, but they are not full frame, which is something that is a huge deal breaker for a lot of people again. And the EOS R, I believe, is full frame, so maybe these aren't taking the place of the EOS R, because, well, full frame is definitely something that a lot of people want, especially if you're vlogging up close, because you don't want to have to hold your arm all the way out. You want to be able to just kind of like keep it here with a really nice wide lens, but you know, that's something that people can definitely work around if they have the right lenses for it. So both cameras have a 30 frames per second electronic shutter, and again the 15 frames per second mechanical shutter. So if you're doing photos, it definitely can keep up to speed with sports and whatnot, and that's kind of not an issue with any of the Canon mirrorless cameras, because they all really do just kind of work really well for shooting nature, shooting sports. They shoot really fast and really quiet. So again, the R7 has in-body stabilization while the R10 does not, and this camera also comes in at about $1,500. So the R7 has a 10-bit recording as well as a C-Log 3 color space, so that is also something to keep in mind. So I think we're good on specs. So I think I get a good idea of what exactly these cameras are and who they're geared for and what they're kind of meant to be. So much like the Canon R5 and R6, where the R6 was geared more towards photography and the R5 was geared towards videography, I feel like the R10 and the R7 are kind of the same. So the R10 is more of the photography based, very consumer level. It has some video features just to get by, but not for someone who's really geared more towards filmmaking, but more towards photography, content creation in general, and may need some video. But the R7 is geared more towards the videographers, because it has the IBIS, it has the 4K 60, it has the C-Log, it has the 10-bit. And that is really something to keep in mind when you're picking your camera, because again, if you end up picking the R10 and you really need that 4K 60, you may have made a bad decision. Personally though, I am not going to be picking up one of these, because I do have the R3, I do have the R5, and you know, I don't really need a consumer level camera, plus it's an aps-c, and I don't really want to pick up another aps-c camera if it's a mirrorless or a DSLR. If it's a Super 35 cinema camera, sure, but aps-c, DSLR, mirrorless camera, I don't really need in my arsenal right now. But it's definitely really good choices as far as consumer level goes. So, you know, people coming to me asking me for recommendations about what camera to get, I'm definitely going to add these to the roster, but I will mention again that the crop factor is something to keep in mind, because again, depending on what you're doing, if you're vlogging, if you're trying to do real estate photography, it really depends on what lenses that you have. So those are something to keep in mind when you're looking at these cameras, because aps-c is a huge deal breaker for a lot of people once again, and full frame is really nice to have. So the EOS R, I wouldn't say is necessarily completely out of the picture here. I feel like the EOS R is still a really good pick. Now, you know, out of those three, the EOS R, the R7, and the R10, they all probably fit together really well, with the R7 and the R10 more up to date with better megapixels, probably better autofocus, you know, more up-to-date features. They're gonna be more feature-based cameras and a lot easier to use for the consumer level, plus they're a lot cheaper and easier to find now that, you know, they're out, because the EOS R, you could probably only find it used for now because it's such an old camera, but definitely still up there and one of the better options for consumer level cameras in the Canon space. Anyways guys, thank you guys for watching. That's gonna be all for today's video, guys. I'm sorry it wasn't as interesting as it could be. You know, I do have some lights that I got in the other day that I do want to end up making a video about, trying to wait until I can get better, until my throat clears up, until I can actually talk without losing too much of my breath. And I really want to, you know, start making a lot more content once again for you guys. But, you know, this personal break has been really nice for me. I feel like, you know, I was starting to get burnt out, so I really want to just take a break and relax and just really take it easy. So thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you again so much for 10K. It means so much to me. This is actually the first channel I've ever made to hit 10K. And it's slow growth, but it is growth, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys. So thank you guys so much. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about the R7, the R10, or whatever cameras coming out next, because there are a ton of cameras coming out. It's camera season, and I can't wait to see what else we have in store. Keep pushing buttons, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Fuck, I forgot. After a month of not making YouTube videos, I forgot that I was trying to stop saying peace, and every time I'm making a video now, I keep saying peace. Alright, bye.